Hey there, this is Matt with State of Flux, here with a review for Season 5 of Smallville. We're at the halfway point, guys, and this season is quite a good one, though I think it is pretty front-loaded. There is a pretty significant situation that happens at mid-season that reframes the rest of the show and is crucial to Superman's development. But we'll touch on that as we go. The season picks up from the immediacy of Season 4's ending, where we have the ramifications of another meteor shower, what that means and who that brings, and we have a really kind of neat sort of reference to Superman 2, or an ode to Superman 2 with the pilot episode of the season, before they confirm that Jensen Ackles is no longer on this show, but in Supernatural. We see how Lex and Lana are growing a little closer together because of a shared experience with Kryptonians attacking them. Meanwhile, we have somebody else as a harbinger of doom who is trying to manipulate the whole situation to bring forth Zod, the corruptor of Krypton. And that is Brainiac, played expertly by James Marsters. He is so good in this show. He is just compelling, and he's always been one of my favorite actors from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's always good, but he is so interesting and plays Brainiac atypical from how I would have portrayed him. And that's a big compliment. You can see him as a physical threat when need be, but he's also a calculating, intelligent threat. And James Marsters going very off Spike. He is not at all Spike from Buffy. He believed that he is a calculating, conniving kind of individual that is always in motion and knowing best at how to play the situation to his own strengths. Clark is at a formative point in his life where he's off at school, has a first-time opportunity to truly make it with Lana when he sacrifices his powers early on in the season and truly starts a meaningful relationship with her. But as we all know, that cannot last, and he must give his powers, get his powers back, but at great sacrifice. Somebody around him will die, and the threat of death looms heavy in the first half of this season. And you don't really know where it's going to hit. If you're a fan of comics, you're pretty darn sure who it's going to hit, and you would be right. Yet there are some fake-outs along the way that would have disastrous effects to Clark's personal life. Along this same time period, Lex decides to run for office, and Kent can't stomach a Luthor in office, so Jonathan starts running for Senate, and he uses Lois as his running partner. Not partner, campaign manager. And the two of them really work to try and sell Jonathan as the everyman this town needs, and not the person that's going to bilk people out of their land and their money. So many people have been hurt by the Luthors, and it's time to expose that. And that is something that is played with as Clark and Lana are together, and suddenly Lex finds himself completely alienated from those around him. Meanwhile, Chloe doesn't have a ton to do in the first half of the season outside of now she knows Clark's secret, and now he knows she knows. And the two of them start working together, and that made for a really interesting, compelling part of the season. Chloe gets stronger, in my opinion, from this point forward. She's always been my favorite character on this show. But once she fully knows and is not chasing after Clark, I think she becomes infinitely more interesting. And I really quite loved her. But we come to two of the most important episodes of this entire series. That's Lexmas and Reckoning. And I will talk about both of them probably a little more at length in my favorite episodes of the season video, but with Lexmas, we are shown a world where Lex is confronted with the reality that what if he didn't live under his father's rule? What if he got exiled from his father? What if he had chosen an ordinary life with Clark? And you see him included by everybody and loved and getting all the things he's always craved. A family. He has a wife with Lana. He has children who look like Clark, and it's a little weird. But he has the family he's always dreamed of. He has friends, and he's thought about positively in the community, just being an everyman. But he's also shown in this same walk of life by his mother, the ghost of his mother or whatever, that in this tale, Lana doesn't survive. And more than he wants a family, more than he wants respect and to be beloved, he wants a world where she's alive. So he is willing to give up everything and become a ruthless son of a bitch to make sure that that timeline never comes to pass. And we see the start of Lex Luthor as we know him in the comics. And from this point forward, everything he's doing seems more calculated, controlled, and softly villainous, even though there's an understanding to what he's doing. And Michael Rosenbaum is phenomenal this whole season, but especially in that episode. The other episode in question is Reckoning, and Reckoning shows us what we've always wanted to see. It was the 100th episode. You get Clark proposing to Lana in a beautiful scene where he squeezes coal, makes it become a diamond. They have a beautiful moment of purity as they confess their love to each other, just as Jonathan wins the election. But Lex can't control himself, and when Lana goes to be the person to try and soften him, he comes on to her, and then that ends in her death. And that tragedy sparks Clark to try again. He accepts that somebody must die, but it cannot be Lana, just like Lex did, and he's willing to change the world in order to make sure this does not come to pass at sacrifice of his own father. And that sudden loss of guidance, of moral compass, no longer present in Clark's life, destabilizes him. And we see a Clark that is, for the first time, fully unsure because he doesn't have that mascot there to spur him on any longer. And this back half of this season isn't quite as good as that stretch up, lead up to Reckoning. I think there are good episodes to have in the back half, but it's just nowhere near as compelling as that front half. That said, we still get to spend more time with Lana and Lois and Clark, but Lois and Clark's relationship in this season's kind of interesting because they start off very antagonistic until they become something more of mutual friends, and they see stuff in each other that is starting to be said, yet the relationship isn't there, but you're beginning to see the roots take form for what will come seasons down the line. But what you see post the death of Jonathan is the complete fracturing of Clark and Lana. And in that, Lana finds solace in the only person that has been burned as much as she has by Clark, and that's Lex. And you're seeing his choice of getting rid of that life he wanted in Lexmas still coming his way as he starts courting Lana, and that is a fascinating element at play. And all of it feels wrong, but the actors are so good they kind of make it right, and it's interesting. Kristen Kreuk and Michael Rosenbaum are great. Brainiac's death and then return is done kind of out of left field, but it works because James Marsters makes it work, and all of this is leading towards Zod. And the big final episode isn't as strong or compelling as most season finales of this show, but it is good enough and ends on such a cliffhanger that you want more, especially with the promise that Zod is now about to be here, and there is no Superman to defend us, which is also the plot of the Flash movie. But anyway, that being said, stay tuned in a couple months' time for my review for Season 6 of Smallville. I'm excited to tackle that one. It's one of my favorite seasons of this show. I think Seasons 4 through 8 are my favorite by memory, but Season 6 was particularly a shining light in that run. So I'm excited to take a look at it once more. On the whole, I thought this season is better than any of the seasons prior, and yet it wasn't as good as my memory was of it. I think it's kind of on par with my thoughts on Season 4, which I know most people don't like Season 4, but as a soft reboot of the show or rebrand, this kind of continues that track, and it still works for me. But Season 5, I think, is arguably the best season of the first 5 of Smallville. We'll see what Season 6 has. Check out my review, both non-spoiler and spoiler, for Superman by James Gunn, his new movie, which Michael Rosenbaum plays this very, very small voice role in. And also, stay tuned for my top 10 episodes of Smallville Season 5 coming to you sometime next week. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.